the greatest woman in the history of romance and love, Cleopatra.
Of course, Vivien was an absolutely perfect Cleopatra.
You will be the most dangerous of all Caesar's conquests.
She was young, she was beautiful. She was very, very sexy. She was kittenish in a way that Elizabeth Taylor, the screen's most famous Cleopatra perhaps, could never be.
From her own lips I have heard it. You are to be her cat's paw.
It is false, false, I swear it.
It is true, though you swore it 1,000 times and believed all you swore.
It's the story of a girl who was a queen, but who stopped at nothing to get her own way, even with the man who had conquered her.
Vivien really, I think, was the only actress who could convey that specifically and peculiar feline quality that Cleopatra, who knows, should have had, at least should have had in Shaw's play, that's for sure.
Strike his life out as I strike his name from your lips. Dash him down from the wall. Break him on the stones. Kill, kill, kill him. So
During the filming of Caesar and Cleopatra, Vivien discovered she was pregnant with Olivier's child.
he shall die.
On one occasion, she had to play a very energetic scene in which she takes a run, slides across the highly polished floor, leaps up several steps onto her throne, throws her hands up and says, "I am the Queen of the Nile." Vivien slipped, fell, and that was the end of her baby.
Vivien's miscarriage triggered a mental breakdown, and although she finished the film, the illness resurfaced in future years. She convalesced at Notley, channeling her energies back into her role of society hostess.
She'd have us up until 4 o'clock in the morning showing films, and when we all got up bleary-eyed in the morning, she'd have already been up for about 4 hours, and she'd organised the entire day, and we're all off again.
Olivier, of course, you know, his energy had to be much more directed into the work that he was doing, which was extremely important, and he didn't have time or the energy sometimes to extend this, and this, of course, as the years went on, became much more of a problem, and he would sometimes, I think, try and sort of slink in and sort of slip upstairs before he was spotted. But of course, you know, he did, I think, find it very exhausting.
Also, her moods were very erratic, and she'd changed from a really wonderful, wonderful hostess suddenly into a viper, and she'd latch on to somebody.
If you crossed her, if you upset her, she could be a vixen, she could be a scorpion, but that was part of her personality. She was dangerous. She could be very, very dangerous. But also she could be very, very sweet and very charming and very vulnerable.
But on the surface, they were still the golden couple. In 1948, Vivien and the newly knighted Sir Laurence Olivier went on a tour of Australia. Alongside a punishing work schedule, the couple's status kept them constantly in the public eye.
I think that the Old Vic tour was a very, very exciting thing. They were like a royal couple. It was like a royal progress. I mean, it was as if the King and Queen had come out, and the King and Queen actually couldn't come to Australia, so in a sense, almost the Oliviers went instead.
Mr. President, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, ever since the day we first landed at Fremantle, we have been losing our hearts to this wonderful country of yours. It is therefore
everywhere we went. I mean, we had packed houses. It was a very, very tiring tour because for all of us, we did the 3 plays, and on top of that, the Oliviers had to be a sort of ambassadors, and they played their parts beautifully.
For once in their colourful careers, Sir Laurence and Lady Olivia were among the audience, as koalas and kangaroos strutted their stuff at Sydney's Taronga Park Zoo.
When we first met, you know, in London for The Skin of Our Teeth, they were very much in love still, you know. And on the tour, there was a great affinity between them, and we felt there was a great love there. Towards the end of the tour, when they were really very exhausted, I think things did seem to change a little bit. Whether it was because she'd met Peter Finch, whom she did fall in love with at a later date, I believe. I don't know, but it did cool a bit in the last month.
Peter Finch was then a young, promising, very promising actor on the Australian stage.
Vivien was a very, very sensual woman, and Peter was about the most sensual creature. He was just sexually instinctive. in bed, she said he was just magic. She said he just knew, he knew a woman's body.
It wasn't very long after that, when they returned to England, that, according to Olivier, Vivien came to him one day and just said to him, "I no longer love you," which was a bit of a thunderbolt.
Vivien's erratic behaviour became more unpredictable, and she was diagnosed as suffering from manic depression.
Manic depression is a horrible thing, which is fundamentally that sometimes the person is feeling very high and they can achieve anything and nothing is a problem. And then it sort of comes to a crescendo where they kind of go over the top and behave very badly.
But it was the madness that caused her such shame, because it was such a different person who was this nightmare human being that she had no memory of, that she was so ashamed of when she would become flipped back into like the good Vivien, if you would. The first thing she did was say, "Who have I hurt? Who have I embarrassed? Who do I need to write to apologize?" I mean, it's so moving to me. And this happened over and over again, and she did everything in her power to rise above it.
Her condition wasn't helped by her next major role as Blanche Dubois in the Tennessee Williams play A Streetcar Named Desire. It was a professional triumph, but a personal crisis.
A very difficult part for Vivien to play, and a very dangerous part for someone in her manic depressive state to play. Blanche Dubois was a woman not only on the edge of a nervous breakdown, but on the edge of mental annihilation. The play ends with her being led off to a lunatic asylum.
Larry, I believe, did say called it that awful play because he thought it affected Vivien, that it was very destructive for her. Because she was so sensitive, so highly strung herself, she must have sort of really lived it, because it didn't do her much good.
However, she made a great success of it, and was so successful that she was cast for the film version. And that again was a new experience, because every person except Vivien Leigh in the film was a method actor or method actress. They were all drawing upon their emotional states inside themselves to get in touch with the parts. And Vivien feared to some degree to get in touch with the emotional state inside herself because it contained a degree of mental unbalance.
This is the story of a woman, Blanche Dubois, who wanted so much to stay a lady. A vivid, vibrant, exciting story, because every searching chapter was written by men.
Could it be you and me, Blanche?
What does it cost to sing a phrase like that?
Why, these are tributes from an